Ted Davis is Distinguished Professor of the History of Science at Messiah University. He's also an affiliate fellow in History of Science at the University of Oklahoma and a fellow of the Distinguished International Society for Science and Religion. He's co-edited the works of the physicist Robert Boyle in 14 volumes, and he's edited Boyle's treatise on God and the Mechanical Philosophy with the delightful title, A Free Inquiry into the Vulgarly Received Notion of Nature, published by Cambridge University Press. He's published dozens of articles and essays about religion and science, and he's currently writing a book about Christianity and the rise of modern science. Welcome, Ted Davis.
I'm Ted Davis. I'm a historian of science with particular interest in the history of Christianity and science. If you ask a person on the street these days what they think about science and religion, including science and Christianity, you often hear rumors of war. Well, interestingly, it's people in the history of science field that have done most of the hard work of debunking that particular popular view. So if you want a short version of what I do, that's it. I'm in the business of debunking the notion of an ongoing, inevitable conflict between science and Christian faith. The real history doesn't look anything like that. I didn't start out at university knowing I was going to be doing this at some point in my life. I wanted to be an astrophysicist when I went to university. I was pretty sure about that. I also knew that I hated the humanities, which is kind of interesting given what I do these days, and that I would never teach. So like a lot of other people, I learned a lot about myself at university. I hope that happens to you. At a good university, it should. Students all learn things about themselves that they didn't know before. Some of those things might be a little scary, but most of them usually turn out pretty well. A few years after university, I figured out what I wanted really to do, which is what I'm doing now. And it helped in figuring that out to make connections with the American Scientific Affiliation. This is an organization of Christians in the sciences that has a high-level conversation about science and faith in a lot of ways, in print and at annual meetings and through informal relationships one makes through the organization. It's been very helpful to me, and I urge young students to get familiar with the ASA. But once I figured this out, then I decided to get a graduate degree that would facilitate this. And in those days, perhaps the best route was to study the history and philosophy of science. So that's what I did. I went off to Indiana to do that. Ironically, I didn't realize at the time that the big star at Indiana, a great Newton expert named Sam Westphal, was as important as he was. And I also didn't know that he was a Christian believer. He mentioned that just once that I could remember in a class, and I remember jaws dropping on students around the table. By and large, it was a department that was not friendly to faith or to people of faith. But a lot of people came nevertheless to help me and to respect me while I was there. And after I finished, I was able to launch a little bit of a career working on American science and religion in the modern period, and also on the so-called scientific revolution, the period from Copernicus to Newton, and science and religion there, especially Robert Boyle. A lot of people were helpful all the way along. I'm grateful for that.